Hi, everyone. Welcome to another incredible LMN webinar series. My name is Dave Chalmers, Chief Commercial Officer at LMN. A couple of housekeeping items just before we begin. If anybody has a question throughout the course of today's webinar, please, we encourage you to use the chat window in the GoToWebinar. We will facilitate those questions over to Jeffrey and the panelists. In addition to the questions, everyone will receive a recording of today's webinar as well. So it gives us great pleasure to introduce Jeffrey Scott. He's a leading authority on growth and profit maximization in the green industry. He grew his landscape, lawn, and irrigation company into a successful $15 million enterprise, and now he helps others achieve their own success within their companies. He's consulted with a few hundred landscape companies and facilitates the industry's largest peer group. He founded the Destination Company Culture Program, which has been adopted by hundreds of landscaping companies across the continent. He has over 10,000 subscribers to his weekly newsletter, works with big brands, sought after keynote speaker, author of 3 books, been there, done that. Jeffrey, thank you so much for your time. I will give you opportunity to introduce our amazing participants and panelists today, Greg, Paul, and Seneca. Thank you for allowing us to learn from each of you. Jeffrey, over to you.
David, thank you so very much. Thank you to LMN. I am really excited for today, and we have some great guests here. So I'm going to jump right in and share that. I'm going to share my screen. I believe you can see it. By the way, this is the book you mentioned that I most recently authored, Become a Destination Company. At the end of our short webinar here today, I'll give everybody a free copy. I'll show you how to do that. What I want to do is introduce our guests. You can see their photos there live, but I put them here up on the screen so you know who I'm talking about here. And so a quick introduction, Greg Wildeboer, CEO, owner of Whispering Pines Landscape out of Ontario, Canada. Greg runs a full service company with 50 employees. He does bid build and design build, maintenance, and robotic mowing. His company is paperless, and I mean really paperless. In fact, he's developed his own software to help him become paperless, along with using great industry softwares like LMN. And so I'm really happy to have Greg here, a real leader. Paul Reeder is our next guest. Paul's the owner, co-owner really, and CEO of Reeder Landscaping in Midland, Michigan. That's where the dam broke. I think it was last week. Huge amount of flooding. Thank God you're okay, Paul, and I appreciate you being here. Paul's business was founded by him and 2 brothers. They serve a very small market, 80 employees, 7 profit centers, and they're growing from 6. They're on the way to 10 million. They have a beautiful showroom and facility. You guys are the gem of, what is that? Is that the thumb of Michigan? You guys are the gem.
Right about here. Yep.
Well, you have done an amazing job, really the gem of Midland. I'm glad to have you on here. And last but not least, Seneca Hall, president, co-owner of France Woody Landscape Contracting in Boise, Idaho. I've been to all 3 places here. Her place is beautiful. It's a 49-year-old company. She runs the company. She's one of multiple owners, 150 employees, 13 million in sales. They are full service, commercial, residential, garden center. They do everything. And they're building a new facility. So this is just great to have all 3 of you aboard here. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull out of my screen here. All right, so now we're just us. You can't see my screen anymore. So let's jump right in it. Let me ask you each a question, or the same question. Why a peer group? What made you initially interested in joining a landscape peer group, and then why My Leader's Edge landscape peer group? So who wants to go first?
I can start. So when we joined Jeffrey's group, we felt we were pretty good at building a sales team and pretty good at operations, but we needed a management team, and we wanted to get it going fast. The other reason is I had followed Jeffrey for a year or two, and I liked his philosophy. Jeffrey came from a design build company that also sold maintenance, did just about everything that their clients wanted. I liked that model. So it seemed like a really good fit, and it has been a good fit.
Paul, I remember exactly where I was when we had our first conversation. I was getting my brake tags at a gas station.
That's right.
I don't know where you were, but that's where I was.
I don't remember where I was, but I remember you talking to me, pulling over, I think, and yep. So it's been a good run. We're not over yet.
Not over. It's just beginning.
Yep.
Greg, how about you? What had you first interested in a peer group in general, and then why My Leader's Edge?
Well, with my case, it was starting with you as a coach and a mentor for my business, and to have like a Tom Brady on your team is something that allows you to create depth and somebody that can be a sounding board, but also a guide. And going into that, I struggled with I tried to be something to everybody, and really didn't have a strong management team, didn't have a lot of structure in place. So we needed that year with you in order to get our stability, and then from there, the peer group allowed us to maintain, but also to continue to develop. And one thing that when I started my business, I spent a lot of time learning from others, seeing other larger companies that have been around, what were they doing, what was their success, and picking their brain. But you get to a point where you're at a size that they're not really as keen to talk to you, not as keen to be there for you, because you're often competition. So by joining a peer group, I'm going to be working with 10, 12 different companies that have all different unique skills and talents. And each one I found has their own sort of somewhat key to success. And by having a key to success and seeing what those successes are, you can then take their successes and see if they can work within your company. And you've got 10 people or 10 organizations with these keys to success, and molding them into yours, you can only grow and become better. And I think that's been our story. I think you've seen how we've grown over the last 4 or 5 years working together, and then how a lot of what I've learned by going to these different peer groups, implementing it into our facility, into our operation, and we're 10 times the company we were before we started. So lots of growth, lots of opportunity, and I've enjoyed the journey, and the journey is still continues. It's really cool.
I am in New Orleans now, not New England anymore. I don't know how that Tom Brady reference fits.
That's only, I'm Canadian. I could say Wayne Gretzky, but I had to look up some. He's ranked the best quarterback.
No, he is.
So
My son would
why
be
not
impressed.
Yeah.
By the way, when you're moving, we can kind of hear your mic. I don't know if that's
Okay.
I don't know if that's you or somebody else, but
That's probably me.
Greg, I remember when you and two from your team came to my retreat center in Connecticut. We started off coaching first, and
Yes.
I took you guys out to dinner to my favorite Italian restaurant, and you brought your horticultural manager with you.
Yes.
And I don't even think I asked for permission. I basically promoted her right there over dinner. I said, wow, she should run your entire maintenance division. And now she runs your whole company.
That's right.
I'm sure we'll hear more about that in a second.
Exactly. So we'll leave that one. Yes.
Seneca, tell us about
Yes.
why peer groups for you.
Well, I had actually just read your Destination Company book, and then found out that our local association, our annual expo, that you were coming to speak. So I made sure that everybody was there, and actually came up and talked to you afterwards. And we had spoken, I think, years before, regarding another book that you were writing. And so asked if you wanted to go to dinner, and went out and talked to you. I was in the process of really trying to understand how to make our company a destination company, and that kind of became my Bible. You know, have a lot of, everybody's trying to steal everybody in this valley, and there's a lot of growth. And so that was just kind of a perfect timing. So got to meet you, went out to dinner. You actually introduced us to LMN, so which we are using now. And, you know, just discussed with the team. We needed some help, needed somebody to ask the hard questions. And that was, you know, a way for us to move forward. You know, similarly, we'd kind of gotten to a size where, you know, we were at our capacity and needed to understand how to grow within our management team, and, you know, provide that leadership and continue to try to do that. So it was just it seemed like a really good fit at the time. And like I said, just getting us to face the hard questions that we needed to ask ourselves, and also just being able to talk to others. I think that is a huge key in the friendships and the, you know, people that are just at our fingertips for any question that we have is really, really wonderful.
Great, thank you. Yeah, again, over dinner, right? That's where the
Yep.
magic happens sometimes. Just for the audience's sake, this is one of a 3-part webinar series. So today, you guys will do all the talking, gals and guys, and I'll feed you questions. And then the next webinar I'm going to run, it'll be just me, and I'll go through more of the details and the mechanics and some case studies on how the peer group works. And then the third and final webinar, it will be Mark Bradley and myself doing a tete-a-tete back and forth on, well, we'll see what questions he asks, but it'll put me more on the hot seat. So today, you 3 are on the hot seat. Let me ask you, let's just get to the biggest value. What's been the biggest, most important outcome in your business, biggest change, and maybe you have 2 small ones instead of 1 big one, but explain to the audience the type of transformation that can happen in this environment. Paul, you went first. You want to go first again?
Sure. So, you know, speaking for Dave and Mike, you know, we were the managers in the company before we joined the peer group. So we were down in the trenches. We were making all the decisions. We were seemingly always buried in minutia, and we were starting to lose some key staff. During our first visit, during your first visit, I learned that I was a micromanager, and that was getting in the way of growth of our people. So, I mean, you know, there's really 3 things that kind of happened. They're all related, but we had a big change in our culture. We unleashed a lot of opportunity for the people within our company. So instead of people saying, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going to be, they seen that we're a growing company. We were letting loose of the reins, and we were creating positions and opportunities that we would have never thought of before. During our experience so far, our company has doubled in revenue, and I would say that our profits have probably tripled. So we've grown the company, we've grown profits, and we've created a lot of opportunity for our team. And again, we're still growing. We're not done yet.
Just getting started. Paul, the term that you coined or I coined working with you, I don't remember which, but it was the term of parachuting.
Right.
So not only were you micromanaging, but you were parachuting down like multiple levels in the organization.
Yes, it was, and it was not good. It needed to change, without a doubt.
It's hard when there's 3 owners like in your company and related for other non-family to think they have to know that they have opportunity. So you've done an excellent job of clearing the glass ceiling, you know, clearing the decks, and making room for everyone to grow, and the grow they have. Greg, I guess we'll just go to you next. Tell us about your 1 or 2 big transformations.
I remember presenting my organizational chart at one of my peer retreats. I think it was at John Purrier's, and John calls me up and said, Greg, do you have a son named Greg? My name was on probably 5 different spots on the organizational chart. And I think that was the most telling thing that took place. I was told that I'm actually holding the company back because I'm trying to be everything to everybody, and then I need to get myself into the leadership role and develop my team and build my team and get them to the right seat. So that's probably the biggest memorable thing that took place. There's plenty, but that was sort of transformational within my business in order to develop sort of the future of our company. And now we've got a nice clean organizational chart, and the organization is well run because of it. So that's my memorable takeaway.
I have to repeat or say again, you have done a great job of allowing someone else to come in and run the company for you, or run the operations for you. I think you're in an enviable position, my friend. We shouldn't even mention her name because keep her off the radar.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Seneca, tell us about your transformation.
I think one of the biggest things that we've brought this to the table and are still very much working on is accountability, to each other and to our roles, and really trying to define our roles and stay out of each other's lanes. It's been a kind of a tough road, I guess. My father started the company, and so he's still very much involved, but yet we're trying to run the company and take it into the future. When we started, we were about a $10 million company, but we were still running with all of the processes of a $5 million company, and it just nothing worked anymore. We had too many timesheets to deal with. It was too many things that we were trying to push through a system that just didn't work anymore because there was too much, and we weren't scaling, and we weren't doing those things right. So I think that's what helped us to focus on, kind of the big picture and how to move forward and how to be accountable. And I think probably one of the biggest things that came out of it, when you guys all came here to Boise, which was the most stressful week of my life. And, but that, really knowing that we didn't know our numbers. So that was something that really has helped us. And now we're reviewing those on a regular basis and sharing it with more of the staff. And it's helping a lot more. So I think that's been a great thing, is accountability.
Seneca, I have to say that your profitability has really exploded in a short amount of time. I don't know if you want to talk about that publicly, but
yes.
You guys, that's, you went from, well, I won't mention numbers, but low to high.
Yeah, we were okay, and then we dipped to nothing. And then we've really come back and are focused on it, and we beat all of our expectations last year, and that was a great feeling. And it's really a lot easier for everybody to get along and be excited about what you're doing when you're making a profit. So it's when there isn't one, everybody's tends to point the fingers at everybody else, and it's really hard to have a cohesive team. And so that's really helped. And this year we're focused on we have to move off of the property that we're on, the back half of it by this summer, and then we'll be off of it completely next year. So we're in the middle of also designing and planning a whole new facility, and really trying to create a destination garden center in the valley. There's nothing like that here, and so it's really there's a lot on our plates, and profitability, we're over where we were last year right now, and that is just a great feeling. And so yeah, we're hitting the pavement pretty hard, even with all this stuff that's going
Yeah,
on.
you're rocking and rolling. I can tell, I mean, you know that Paul has built a beautiful facility. I'm sure he can help you with tips. You may not know
Yes.
that Greg has also just moved, and so he's been
Ah,
through that whole process. You can call him afterwards
okay.
get some tips.
Got his number now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did any of you have reservations before joining? And I'm asking this, for the benefit of the audience. And I realized two of you really started coaching with me first, so it was, in fact, maybe more natural. But just think about maybe reservations about working with me at all or joining the peer group. Any reservations you want to share for the audience's benefit?
Yeah, I can go. I think prior to joining a peer group, again, the three-person ownership team would go to different conventions, different events, and we'd come back all excited, but it didn't translate, through the entire organization. And so I guess, one concern was whether or not, our group was going to accept this, whether or not we were going to be able to integrate it. But it really didn't take long to overcome that. But I guess that was maybe really our only concern with joining a peer group. Would this work, and could we take it through the entire organization better than we had in the past? Mm-hmm.
And apparently you have.
Mm-hmm. We've made good progress. We
You're
have.
making progress. We even convinced Dave, your brother.
We did. We did. He's a tough cookie. So
He is the tough cookie. Yeah, he's good.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So Greg or Seneca, I don't want to put you on the spotlight if you have nothing to share,
Sure.
but any initial reservations?
Well, in my case, being sort of north of the States and in Canada, I did know that you had a number of people in peer groups that were from the Southern Ontario area, but I was curious on whether the differences between the way the Americans approach things and Canadians approach things, whether it would cause challenges, whether the way we sort of, us Canadians being a little bit more low key, not prepared to aim for the sky and the moon. But I think what I found out through this is that, yeah, there are differences, and that continues even now. There's differences the way your government's approaching COVID and support, but a strong business model, how to have a strong team, all these things are uniform across the border, and I've actually probably learned more because of that. And I would say that Canadians looking at this as an opportunity, it definitely is an opportunity, because yeah, there's lots to learn from companies that are aggressive, companies that have good structure in place, and we benefited from it tremendously.
I probably have the most international peer group network. And
Mhm.
one thing you said, Greg, I do hear more often, which is, I can talk to my locals anytime I want. You guys have a very strong local association,
Yeah.
but they will work with me to get outside of, Canada, basically, or their local region.
Yeah.
Seneca, any reservations on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was, I had been following you, and um, I tend to always come in and have some great idea, and just, it's like, well, another book or another whatever, and so I think there was some reservation with, we've got the four partners, five including my dad, and so, kind of having everybody on the same page was hard. And I don't know if you remember, Jeffrey, but we actually talked about you coaching me, and you actually said, essentially, it's not going to work. You need to have the whole group here. And I think that was probably the best decision, and having the whole group involved in some way. It's hard, just our CFO and I are the ones that generally go to the peer group. It's just kind of too much if everybody brings too many people, but it's been good. We've brought it back. And then when you came here and they all got to be involved and be in understand that, and also understand the wonderful benefit of having others to talk to about different things. I think that was a really, really good thing. So it's I mean, I think you always have a reservation. Is it gonna be worth it? Is it gonna take too much time? And I think the biggest reservation I had was the accountability that we have to the group, and can we show up and provide something to them as much as we get from others. So that was kind of scary, and the first meeting was scary, but it was also a lot of fun. And we benefited from every single group, even the Canadians. So there's several in our group as well. So it's been, I think it's been a really good thing for us to help us grow.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun at your place. I think I let my hair down a little too much there.
Boise will do that to you.
Yeah, apparently. So let's talk your personal life. You know me, that I'm a big believer in, I don't know if I'll say work-life balance, but enjoying, the business is there to serve your life. So the purpose in life is having a fulfilling life. And so I'm a big believer in integrating the two, finding the balance that you want, where you're really enjoying both. And did any of you experience a personal change or benefit by working through with the group where, we talk personal as well as business, and personal needs and goals are brought up as often as business? Anything that any of you can speak to on that? Personal improvements you've made, for example?
Well, I can say one big one. It's vague, but it's huge. It's just peace of mind, reduction in stress, knowing that got a plan. The plan will work. Oftentimes we have a contingency plan, as per this year, but more personal freedom, a flexible schedule, and just more time for hobbies and my personal interests. And one of the results of that is more energy, period. I mean, when you spend more time doing things you enjoy, you become renewed, both physically and mentally. So those are the things I've experienced.
Excellent. Plus a big boat.
Plus a boat, yes.
A big boat. Thank you. Greg, I saw you might want to share something.
Yeah, when my group came up to see our place a couple of years back, I remember Seth saying, Greg, have you considered firing yourself? He was saying that because I was just too involved, and I was actually holding the company back, that I had enough strength with my team, but I wasn't empowering them. And so by sort of firing yourself, basically forcing yourself to step back from things and building others and encourage them to grow in their place has changed the organization and has allowed me to really step back in many ways. Last year, we developed our whole shop and property and did a ton of work within a year, but I was able to focus on that, and the business continued to grow. And without my sort of oversight, I was pretty much 100% on this new build. So yeah, it allows you freedom, allows you to focus on the development and the future of the company, and the company continue to run and continue to be managed well, better actually than it was prior to this time. So yeah, I fired myself.
You gave us permission to interview your wife when we came to you, and she she did not hold back, as I recall, and told us how much, literally, how focused you were on the business when you were off the clock. I think that was it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I believe you developed a better delineation
Yeah.
on the clock and off.
Still need to work on that. I think if you ask Sherry again, but it is indeed something I'm very aware of, and it continues to be a priority.
One technique I've learned is when I'm out with my wife, I'll just leave the phone. I'll leave it home because I'm like you, right? If I've got the phone, it's ring central for everything, and so my tactic is losing my phone.
Yeah.
Seneca, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what these guys have said is very true. I think I felt like it was my responsibility to help everybody do everything right, and being able to let them, really be in charge of their department, and run the day to day, and really kind of step back, and my biggest focus is on our people, and creating the kind of place that not only attracts employees but keeps them here. We've started a culture committee through one of the suggestions from the group, and just really being able to focus on those things, and let everybody do their jobs, and kind of, like I said, same thing. It's been great. It's made me happier. It's made me want to be here, and I was kind of at a place where I felt like really my job was transitioning from my dad to this new group, and my responsibility was to try to create the room for that to happen. And kind of got to a point where I didn't know if I still belonged, and so this has helped me to kind of be able to see where my future is, and get excited about the future again, and really trying to help people have the space and the ability, and the tools to be able to do that.
And you've done a great job creating that destination company culture. You guys will, God willing, you guys are going to explode to 20 million. You have all these great pieces in your company, and you've done a great job of just lining them up in order in the right positions. Really good job. Hey, so let's talk a little bit about the process. What's one part of the peer group process that you enjoy particularly? So just open-ended question. Seneca, can I pick on you first? You were always last
Sure.
before.
I think the thing that I enjoy the most is going to see other people's places. I think that's just, you learn so much, and also have the ability to help others. You see things that they don't see. The little things that really make a difference. So I think that's been a lot of fun. And also, the evenings out, and the talks you have in the hotel bar, and those types of things are really, I think, where you really get into the details, and get to know the business as well as the people, and the culture. I mean, we've just got some awesome people in our group that are just so real and grounded, and so that's really helped me. But that's what I enjoy, and getting to see new places. Got to see New Orleans. Never been there, so.
Okay, I have a surprise for you. I'll tell you when we get off the air.
Oh, nice.
Greg, what's your favorite part?
Well, two things. I do love your rolling budgets. That's something that we use well within our company, but also do comparables to my peers. It allows me to see our strengths, but also our weaknesses. So you can sort of hone in on the things that we're struggling with, and then you get to talk to your peers about what successes they have and how it works for them. So that's a big part of allowing us to sort of, with numbers, help strengthen our business. But then the accountability, you've got 10 odd other people, 9 people that will hold you accountable. And if you're saying you're going to go do something and you don't do it because you're chickening out or whatever, they're the ones that are going to be calling you out on it. So having the accountability to others is significant and valuable, and you don't want to let the group down. You don't want your own personal team, but you don't want to let the peer group down either. So that accountability is worth a lot.
Thank you. Paul?
Well, looking at the numbers, I like getting confirmation from the entire group that our numbers are where they should be. Because every once in a while you're looking, geez, am I on the right track? So you just get that confirmation that this is where we need to be. This is what we need to do. So full steam ahead. The other part is I think that the energy of the group, we end up setting stretch goals that maybe we wouldn't have before. I know one time I brought a growth goal, and it was about 12%. And by the time the meeting was over, I was told I needed another budget, and it needed to be with 20% growth. And so the end of that year, we grew 19%. So I needed that kick in the pants to say, you guys have the table set, and I'll just go out and execute. So stretch goals is a big one. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Great sharing on that. So you've talked about peer groups in general, and so why work with me versus other options out there in the market? I mean, there are a lot of options out there, right? Everything under the sun. And so anything special you would want to add that a reason you chose to join my group or work with me personally?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Go ahead, Seneca.
I think it was fate. I mean, you showed up in Idaho, and we needed something to kind of kick us in the butt and get us going, and like I said, I'd been following you, and I've had other interaction with other leaders and gone to other functions, but never actually joined a peer group. And so I think that was like I said, it all worked out, and we've really enjoyed it. And I think, again, all of the other members, having that personal interaction with other people, not just being part of a big group, but being able to be involved with people that are in similar, revenue places, both above and below, where you can help people and you can learn. And I think that was really enticing to us, is to get something out of not only you, but them.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Well, we liked what you had done in your career when you were with your father's company. Then you grew the company, and then you went through a transition. And so we kind of seen that in our future. And then we thought you related well to both design build and the maintenance component and culture. It just seemed to be, you kind of hit all the bases for us. We had probably looked at 3 other consultants, and they were all good at one or two things, but you seemed to be a good fit for us, and it proved out to be true. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Paul. Greg?
Yeah.
I would echo what these two fine folks have said as well. For us, it was also having opportunity south of the border as well. And as much as it was, I wasn't sure whether it would be a fit, and ended up became a very good fit, and we were able to learn a lot and not feel like we're learning things from with our own backyard. We're learning things from people that are developed and no sense of competition, but are more willing to share and guide us. So yeah, it's the diversity of the group has been a huge benefit.
Now, they say Canadians are polite, and I've been told that I'm very direct, maybe the opposite of being Canadian. How has that impacted you?
It's what we needed. to have somebody that is holding us accountable. And I think even people that work under you, even you tell them to hold you accountable, tell you when you're not doing what you should be doing, and they'll sugarcoat it, and they won't really cut through chase, whereas you will. You have more to gain by holding us accountable and making us do what we say we're going to do, and making sure we're called out on things we're not doing properly, to the success of our organization, which reflects back on you doing your job and doing it to the best of your ability. So being direct has actually been extremely beneficial.
Yeah, that was well said. Excellent, good insight. So what you guys are all very successful, and I know all three of you personally, and like I said, Greg, you've done a great job of finding this leader also within your organization and building upon that. That is so hard to do. And of course, you've tried to bring outside leaders in. Doesn't always work. We all know that. What advice would you give for somebody else who's thinking about whether they're larger than you, smaller than you, regardless of where they are on the journey? What's a piece of advice you would give them if they were thinking about joining a peer group?
So my advice is that you need to understand that you may have strengths, your own strengths, may have strengths within your team, but when you have other people looking at your team from a bird's eye view that don't have necessarily vested interests, but have the concern and desire to help you grow, they can be an extreme benefit to you. They're the ones, and in your case, you saw somebody who was sort of working up the ranks, who's now our general manager. You saw that strength, and the other thing is there were people in my organization that did not have the strengths, and they're no longer here. They've had to be moved on and moved out, but we brought better people in as well. So having that oversight and that guidance and that sort of holding you accountable, these are things that will benefit you, and it's going to help you become a stronger organization, and an organization that can continue to grow and weather things like we're weathering right now. The depth is there then.
Thank you, Paul. Without repeating what Greg said, and I'll just say a couple words about you. You've done a great job of building a sales team. I think I might have you on my podcast. You guys all know that I've started up a new podcast series, or relaunched it, The Ultimate Landscape CEO. And I've been thinking, Paul, about having you talk about it. You've done just a great job of building a scalable sales team, people that are working on full commission, really competing against each other. You've done great there. And I think when I first met you, you wanted to take more time off, and now you're able to take those long weekends and really work when you want to, and then enjoy your life when you want to. So really kudos to you on what you guys have built. Excellent. And so what advice would you give to a company, smaller, larger, somebody looking and thinking about joining a peer group?
Well, there's a huge benefit in spending time with other business owners. Everybody is really good at a couple of things. There's like innovators in these companies that just have cutting edge ideas. I look at some of the younger members in our peer group, and they're doing things that are just amazing that I would have never thought of. Yeah. So you're with like-minded people. Everybody wants to get better. Everybody's focused on having a great culture, creating opportunity for everybody in the company, because ultimately an owner's success is based on putting people in positions where they can succeed at a high level. So you just have that dynamic when you're part of a peer group, and it's a valuable tool. It just is. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Seneca, unfortunately, you're going last here. No repeating.
Okay.
I just want to say again that you guys have done a great job of taking these, I mean, you have an extremely strong team, extremely strong brand. And as Paul would say, we're just getting started. I think you guys really are, because your organization has really been transforming itself. The bottom line is growing tremendously, and I still see room to for that to really take off. And so it's been exciting to watch. I would say how quickly you've made these changes and transformations. And so what would your advice be to somebody larger, smaller than you, somebody on the outside that's thinking about making this step?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, and kind of back to your directness too, is pointing out the blind spots. You know, we all have blind spots as far as what we think we're doing, but it doesn't really come across that way. Or, you know, you parachuting in and you think you're helping and you're really not, and those types of things, and learning about yourself as much as your company and about other people's companies is really being able to kind of accept the criticism, as well as, you know, finding that you are doing a good job too. So I think people that go out and search these types of things out really want to be successful. So you're with other people that want the same thing, similar to what Paul said. But you know, it's really about getting better at what you do. Even if you think that you're good at it, you'll learn the things that you need to improve, and then you see the improvements and what those do for not only the bottom line, but for your personal enjoyment of going to work. And one last kind of little thing on that was surprising to me, one time we were sitting down with our bonding people, just having our annual review and talking about everything, and I mentioned, I think it was right before you guys came, and I mentioned that we were in a peer group, and one of the guys said, you know, wow, that is something that we kind of look at, and people that are in peer groups tend to be more successful, and because they're out there, again, trying to learn how to do things better and grow, not just in revenue, but in profit, and be the kind of company that they want to represent. So that was a nice plus.
Nice confirmation. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned blind spots, and we have that actual blind spot survey that you can do with your team. It's eye-opening. You really have to be driven and humility, right? You have to have both, I think, to make it in our group, and really is a great character of success. So before we end here, I just want to offer this free book, as I said in the beginning, The Destination Company. And so I put up a link, jeffreyscott.biz/free book, and you can go there and pull down this book. I'm hoping to put it into 10,000 hands. So I'm hoping to give it away as much as I possibly can. Also, just a quick nod, in August, end of August, I'm running the Summer Growth Summit. Paul, I know you'll be there in Des Moines, Iowa. This is a gentleman who's been part of a few of my peer groups. A+ Lawn and Landscape will be the host. It's going to be a very good way to learn about growing a company with multiple profit centers and the accountability and empowerment that you can give a leader within a multiple profit center. They have 6 profit centers, I believe it is, and they're hitting 20% net profit. So they're doing great. This will be an excellent way if you want to come get to know me a bit better and meet other peer group members. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to LMN. And I don't know if LMN has other questions for us, or if you want to just do your wrap up, I'll leave that up to you, David.
That's great, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for moderating such an incredible session. Seneca, Greg, and Paul, so wonderful to hear from three, accomplished business leaders and hearing how you're, tackling some of the challenges that exist in your business, and more importantly, always looking to try to get better. And certainly, any of the times here at LMN that we've had the chance to work with Jeffrey, we're completely amazed at how he digs right in, rolls his sleeves up, and gets immersed within not just the conversation, but what are the goals, what are we trying to achieve, and really focuses in on what's the next step, and how do we build and improve. So thank you so much for sharing each of your journeys. I'm sure there's an incredible amount of more storylines and information that can be shared, but this was certainly very helpful for us today to learn from each of you. Jeffrey, thanks again. We know your schedule is incredibly busy. Appreciate you taking the time and for your generosity in being able to share your book. And like I said, a lot of great insights with our audience today. So we have just one slide to close. LMN Academy, our implementation programs, our workshops, our webinars, we're continually focused on education at LMN. That's one of the big mantras and themes that we have at the organization, not just this year, but for all of the upcoming quarters. And as you can see from each of these items, we've moved everything into an online capacity. So easy access from anywhere, the ability for multiple people within an organization to consume content and get better at what they're doing inside of organizations. So in our quest to deliver great education, we're honored again to be working with Jeffrey Scott, and have had the opportunity to hear from Greg and Seneca and Paul today. So thanks again for your time. We'll make sure that this distribution lands with all of the attendees today. And I would like to thank everyone for their time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Stay safe.